Damon's Famous Fingers and Wings restaurant in Jessup is now open for business, practicing social distancing, but still serving that great food that Damon's is famous for. Come inside or come through the drive-thru, but Damon's is open inside and welcomes back its customers. The menu's the same, the service is fast, and the food is fantastic, and the sauces remain the same, mild, wild, insane, or inferno. The number is the same, 588-WING, 588-9464. Damon's Restaurant on West Cherry Street in Jessup. Dining room now open for business. Come on in and enjoy a great meal today.
8:03 here at the Big Dog, WIFO-FM. World-famous Butch and Bob Show brought to you by Murphy Builder Supply, Damon's Famous Fingers and Wings, and First Southern Bank. Good morning, Bob.
Good morning, Jonathan. Again, happy birthday to you. But we got Bill Werkheiser on the phone. It's Wednesdays with Werkheiser. Bill, how you doing today?
Doing good, and happy birthday, Jonathan.
Oh, thank you.
Always glad to have you, Bill. Again, final week of the session, mad dash to Friday, trying to get the budget. Where do we stand on the budget? When do you think you'll see a vote? Blake yesterday said he thought maybe Thursday. What's your thoughts?
It is looking like Thursday, and they have been working night and day, as he explained to you on it, because basically we worked about 4 weeks on the budget in the House, and then COVID hit, so they're basically starting from scratch. So it's been a tough job. So I will tell you this, the numbers every day are getting better and better, and even since you talked to him yesterday, the governor has lowered the cut again for most of the agencies. You know, we were at 14%, went to 11%, and now it looks like we're going to be at 10%. And 1% may not be much, sound like much, but 1% on $27 billion is a lot of money.
Yeah, the school superintendent mentioned that last night at the board meeting. He said the numbers continue to look better and better. Like I said, as you mentioned, when it first began, it was at 14%, and now it may go all the way down to 10%. Also, another thing the superintendent was excited about is the equalization grant money is still going to be left intact. So they said that'll help them as well. So the school board was kind of happy last night with the information coming out of the state of Atlanta.
Yeah, and kudos to the local school board for being such fiscal conservatives and being able to ride this out because they operate in such a good manner. Right.
Well, the big news, of course, yesterday was the hate crimes bill has been passed by both the House and the Senate. The governor says he's definitely going to sign it after looking at the legal aspect of it. But your thoughts on that? Were you able to see all the emotion for some of the people that have been up there for many years? I think the Columbus Democrat, I don't want to butcher his name, is Calvin. Can't tell if it's Murr, but anyway, he's been there 46 years, said it was one of the best moments of his career at the General Assembly. So tell us a bit about what all took place, the speeches that took place, and the emotional vote.
Yeah, and so while I'm in the chamber, I've got multitasking. I'm listening to the Senate as we're doing House stuff. Got earplug in one ear and the other ear listening to what's going on. And I actually walked out into the hall when they took the vote over to another chamber. And the only time I've ever seen this was on the heartbeat bill, and it was different because it was split, 50-50. But this was unanimously, or not unanimously, but it was much more widely supported by all, much more bipartisan. And this will give you chills. I was out in the hall, and the all 3 floors of the chamber erupted in applause. So all the lobbyists, all the folks who were there was just applauding. So it was an emotional moment.
Another bill that is passed one side but has to go to the other side is the bill about the House Bill 167, passed on a largely party line vote, 37-19, or from 31-19, protecting companies from such lawsuits. Why is that just a party line vote? Why don't the other side see that being something that needs to be done?
Because of the other stuff that's in the bill. Because this time of year, so many things are tacked down. But can I interrupt you there and go to what might have been the biggest bill of the day yesterday?
Certainly.
And that is Senate Bill 123, the COLASH bill. And kudos to Representative Stephen Meeks. That was actually his bill in the House. And as what happens, a bill is filed in the House and the Senate at the same time, that's how much effort we had on this. But Stephen did yeoman's work on this. It was in a committee that he served on. Been fighting this battle. Well, you know, we've been fighting this battle for 6 years. We've been working on this bill for 2 years. So huge day for Wayne County, and especially for Stephen Meeks, because in fact, leadership yesterday recognized him because of all the work he had done on this. So big win for Wayne County.
And tell us exactly what the bill does, Bill.
So the biggest part is it did, and again, a lot of things, because a lot of things start getting packed on. But the biggest deal is it raises the price per ton on that's charged to bring coal ash in. And Georgia has always been so low that it is basically invited. It's basically been an open invitation to bring out-of-state coal ash into Georgia, because you can't have a bill that restricts interstate commerce. So this bill took it from $1 to $2.50. And again, there's a lot of other changes. I actually thought Stephen's bill was a little better than some of the changes they made, such as they did some restrictions on local governments with percentage of spending on that, but still, but that was the biggest part of the bill. And again, it was, even though the record books will not have Stephen Meeks as the author, it was his bill, had been working on it, had filed it 2 years ago, and just because of the legislative process, it will have the senator's name on it, but definitely his bill.
You know, if you just joining us, Bill Werkheiser on the phone Wednesdays. Werkheiser, another item that was mentioned last night at the school board meeting is something, as you mentioned, things that for years you hear about. For years, Wayne County had to fight to get the FLIPA money, but last night the school superintendent said the FLIPA money seems to be coming on a regular basis now, so that problem has been resolved as well. And that's something I know you worked on, Blake worked on, Stephen worked on, because for years Wayne County couldn't get the FLIPA money on time, but now they said that that's consistently coming on an annual basis, so that's good news as well.
It is, and that went back to right before Stephen was elected, when Chad Nimmer was on that committee. And that's what I was going to bring up. And this will be a little self-serving, because I want Wayne County to always be represented by 2 reps, because if it goes to 1 rep, I'm out. So this is very self-serving. But both of those are great instances where having somebody on a committee makes a difference. Stephen on environment and Chad on government affairs. If you have 1 rep, you're going to be limited to 4 committees. Kind of strange, since we're all on about 5 or 6 committees, that Stephen and I don't serve on a single committee together. So that means you have an opportunity to have input on, 10 to 12 committees. And if you're not on the committee, it's hard, because just like Stephen's bill, he's been working on it for 2 years. We have over 900 pieces of legislation filed every year. The governor only signs about 130. So that's close to a 90% failure rate on any bill. It is hard to get a bill all the way through the process, and it should be hard. And so if you're not on the committee, it just makes it tough. And so I just think it's a tremendous asset to Wayne to have that much influence on that many committees. And again, that's self-serving, because I love Wayne County, and I always want to, when we redistrict, I want to always be part of Wayne County.
Again, a lot of other bills on the table. One thing that's puzzling to me, they're talking about, all these cuts, so they're looking for other ways to raise revenue. And one discussion up there is the fact that they want to possibly raise the tax on tobacco, on cigarettes. It would still be the lowest across the nation, but hasn't been raised since 2003, I think they said. What's the holdup on that? Why? And why is the House Speaker dead set against raising that tax on cigarettes? Can you explain that to me?
I think there's 2 things. Number one, agriculture is our biggest industry. And so, and again, half of your or a third of your Wayne County delegation is in agriculture with Stephen. And And then secondly, with the Republicans in charge, we are very hesitant to raise taxes. And I realize, bumping that up just a little bit would. I wouldn't be opposed to that, but I guess it's just the narrative of raising taxes. But Bob, I'll tell you another thing.
The little bit of increase they're talking about is going to raise $530 million. I mean, and they talk about essential and non-essential items. I mean, cigarettes also lead to health issues and things like that. I don't understand why it's such a big. I'm puzzled by that. I just don't understand what's going on there.
Yeah, well, and there's a third reason. It's called a regressive tax, meaning every year the number of people that smoke are going down. Because, it's not a millennial thing. It's the older people. And that number is going down very quickly. So they're saying it would be a regressive tax, whereas the number you just said would be that this year, it would continually go down. So that's the three arguments. That, conservatives don't raise taxes, and supporting our number one industry.
I know I talked to you over the weekend, so I'm interested in votes on Friday and Monday, allowing the people in Glenn County, they're going to get the opportunity to vote in November, whether they want to do away with the Glenn County Police Department. Lots been discussed about what took place in the Ahmaud Arbery case. The votes were pretty overwhelming. I mean, unanimous vote in the Senate. The House vote was like 152-3 in favor. So your thoughts on that? I know you know a lot about what's going on there.
Yeah, and it was overwhelming. And also remember this, that this is not just about the Ahmaud Arbery case, because the police chief and a couple other deputies were already under indictment way before this happened. The problems in Glenn County were systemic, and it's going to take 3 bills to do this, because it's going to be a local referendum, and I think we just passed the third of 3. One of them was in the Senate, 2 of them were in the House. And so, just to make sure, because I've seen some headlines that were misleading, the legislature is not voting to abolish the Glenn County Police Department. It is giving the citizens of Glenn County an opportunity to vote in November whether they want to abolish the Glenn County Police Department and let the Glenn County Sheriff's Department absorb that workload.
Right, and the way I understand it, on the ballot, there's going to be 3 options. 1, to leave it like it is. 2, to abolish the Glenn County Police Department and give it to the sheriff. And I think there's a third option. I can't remember the third, but like I said, all this does is let the Glenn County voters decide how they want the law enforcement down there to take place from this point forward after November. Is that correct?
That is correct. That's a great way to explain it. And I think it strikes the balance, because one of the arguments we always hear is home rule versus state. Just like the states want the feds to leave us alone and let us make our own rules so that you don't lump us in with California. At the same token, we don't want to be telling the city of Jessup and in Wayne County how to run things. So it passes down, keeps home rule in place, but we did have to get involved to allow that to happen.
The only reason I bring it up is, like I said, it bothers me. The national media grabs the headline, but they don't tell the full story. They talk about why the GBI wasn't brought in there. People need to understand that what was going on down there. The police chief had been indicted. 3 officers had been indicted. They were indicted by the district attorney, and the GBI did the investigation. So there was some hard feelings between the Glenn County Police Department and the GBI. So that might be one of the reasons why they didn't call them in immediately after the Ahmaud Arbery case took place. But they don't tell that story. They just go with what they see, the video, and it just bothers me how the national media doesn't seem to want to get the facts. Kind of like the Bubba Wallace, even though they found out it was nothing more than a pull rope, they're still trying to make it out to be some kind of hate crime. So they just, like I said, that's why I don't watch the national media anymore. Just can't watch what's going on. So it's just frustrating. But I just wanted to make that point. They keep going back to that Ahmaud Arbery. The thing, and like I said, the thing I want to point out, and I continue to point out, is the people that were at fault that day were the police officers who arrived on the scene. You had a man who was shot and killed shot 3 times in the middle of the street at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and the police officers showed up, let the people that did it walk home. That's the problem. That's where you start investigating. That's why the GBI has been called in to do a full-fledged investigation to see how that whole thing was handled. But the national media doesn't talk about that either. So I just want to point that out. That's why they're voting to allow the Glenn County people down there to make a decision on how they want their law enforcement to be handled from this point forward, because they've had episode after episode and episode of almost a good old boy system taking place down there. So they're fed up, and they want to let the people decide how they want to move forward.
Yeah, and the narrative there about the whole DA situation, which is another thing. Like you said, the situation you explained, when a guy is shot down in broad daylight, you don't need, that's not a complicated case. You don't have to go to DA and say, hey, what's the law say on this? You arrest the guest both and figure that stuff out later. They're basically just let go. So, yeah, it's a crazy thing to see. And like you said, it was overwhelming. It was the entire Senate, and really the only no vote in the House was Representative Jeff Jones, which does a Clark, has represented Glenn County. And for some reason, he's defending the Glenn County.
Right, but apparently he's a lame duck, right? He's already been defeated.
Yeah,
like I said, he's the one. He's been going after DA, but apparently he doesn't understand what the word recuse means, because everybody I talk to, when you recuse yourself from a case the day after it happened, I don't know what more they wanted her to do. But anyway, we'll move on and get back to the budget. Talking to Blake, he said there's still going to be a lot of debate about the budget. How do you see this debate playing out, and what are they going to fight over if there's, explain us how this is going to go. They got to get it done by Friday. Most people seem to be on the same page. Like I said, the governor keeps giving them good news, but what's going to be the sticking point? What's going to be argued back and forth concerning the budget?
So a couple, and this is you're talking about really getting down the weeds. So I'll just give you a couple examples, because, again, I'm on public safety appropriations. So money was taken away from accountability courts, and we know we have just spent way too much effort over the last really 8 years improving criminal justice, and because that was kind of the capstone of Governor Deal's administration, and we created accountability courts, and that money was taken away. So the House is fighting to put that in, and that's not to blame the Senate, because it's a tough. It's like you can't do everything. So where do you take it from? Do you take it away from the prosecuting attorney council? Do you take it away from public defenders? Because you've got to have that balance between those two groups. Do you take state patrol officers off the road? And all of those are public safety items, and that's just public safety. And then you got education, prisons. So it's, and speaking of prisons, that's public safety. So we're already short on correctional guards. Do you take more correctional officers out of the prison? So they're not easy choices. It's every one of those are good and needed things. And one of the problems we've created is, with Georgia being so conservative, and again, I know I say this a lot, we are 49th in tax per capita. So we're not California. We're not the federal government. We just don't pull money out of thin air. We have to balance our budget. We are operating so lean that when we make a cut, it hurts, because we are down to, core services. And so that's what makes it so difficult.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but I did read where at one point they were talking about furlough and GBI and Georgia State Patrol, but I understand the governor took that out of the situation. That's not going to take place. Is that right, or did I read something wrong?
Yeah, no, you're correct in that. And again, that's public safety. And speaking of more public safety areas that are great programs, there's a debate over. So the House passed a couple of years ago, and this was a huge bill about testing rape kits. We've had, all these women who have been raped. They go through the experience of a rape, then they go through the experience of getting tested at a hospital, which is a bad experience. And then we put these test kits on a shelf and never touch them again. So the House mandated that you will test all these kits. Well, there was such a backlog of tens of thousands that we're going through these. Well, one of the cuts was we cut all of these criminal investigators from testing them. So we stopped the process of going through the backlog, where the House said, no, this is a priority. We want this in. But again, where do you find that money, because of all the other good things we had? So that's just one more example. But you're right about the GBI because their lane, we exempted the state patrol pulling officers off the road because they're at a, when compared to other states, we're still officer per population in that's a high number. So anyway, it's.
Well, I knew it had been changed because I talked to an agent who was happy that at first it was proposed that they were going to have to take furlough days along the Georgia State Patrol, but that has changed. That is no longer in the budget, so that's good news for both the GBI and the Georgia State Patrol. So again, it's going to be an interesting couple of days up there. I talked to both Stephen on Monday and Blake on Tuesday. He said that they're definitely not punching a time clock. These sessions are going late into the evening. So how long did they go last night?
Well, I had a little game of chicken last night. The House was what, so during the hate crimes bill, the Senate, it did not pass as overwhelmingly there. In the House, they wanted protections for police officers put into the hate crimes bill. Well, that was kind of a poke in the eye to the folks that wanted the hate crimes bill. So they pulled that out and did a separate bill and sent that to us. And they wanted the assurance that we're going to pass a police protection Bill of Rights before they voted on the hate crimes bill. And the House said, we're not voting on that bill unless you vote on the hate crimes bill. So we had a little standoff there, and both bills passed within 60 seconds of each other. They went longer. We got out around 4 o'clock. Don't know when they got out. But remember now, sessions is a small part of what we do because we're doing committees, work on the budget. In fact, last night was the earliest I had gone to bed. It was about 11:15. Wow, I popped up so early this morning. So, in two, the House. So, you don't understand the House position on this, but so the Senate is back at their desk voting. So their vote, it takes them 1 minute to vote. It takes the House 13, 16 minutes to vote, and that's not counting presenting the bill, debating the bill. So that's 4. We can only do 4 bills per hour. And so it is slow, arduous. I wish they would put us back at our seats, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Okay. Well, speaking of law enforcement, it was nice to see the governor come out and state that the state of Georgia does back the blue. Like I said, I talked to you over the weekend. I told you this is a short session. You only have a few days left. But next year, I want you to pass a bill. These people that want to defund the police, just put them in a database so when they call 911, the police doesn't have to respond to that place. So I think that would be a good bill to pass. I mean, I don't know what these people are talking about. You need the police. So I was glad to see the governor say they backed the blue in the state of Georgia because I tell you, I don't know if you want to be a police officer these days with everything taking place and the abuse they're taking. So it's kind of sad to see what's taking place.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't that long ago they had signs everywhere that said Blue Lives Matter. Remember those?
Yeah. I remember
they were everywhere.
Blue.
Yeah, I mean, so
and
police protection's important. You got to have it. Those people put their lives on the line every day. When they walk out the door, they don't know if they're going to make it back. So it's a very tough job for little pay, but I was just glad to see the governor make that statement, did that video. If anybody hasn't seen that 4-minute video that the governor did, I strongly recommend that you watch it. It was I thought it was very inspirational, very, something needed to be said and came at a good time. So you see him, just give him kudos for that. And again, good luck the rest of the week on this budget. I'm sure it's going to get passed. Like Blake said, it's definitely going to get done. So hopefully there won't be too much squabble. What about party lines on the budget? I mean, how is this going to be a bipartisan issue as well, like the hate crimes bill, or is everybody coming together?
No, it will be bipartisan. And Bob, that's one thing. I've only been up here 6 years, and that's one thing I've really seen. My first couple of years, the budget would pass unanimous, and there might be 1 or 2 no votes. Like 3 years ago, there was 1 no vote. It was Stover. This past year, it was party lines because everything is just a political statement. They know it's going to pass, and so the Dems so when we go to debate the budget, the minority party will go to the well and talk about how can we pass a budget that doesn't expand Medicaid? It doesn't have their list of priorities in it. And, the same thing happened years ago when the Democrats were in charge. They got to control the budget, and the Republicans didn't like it. But even during all that, no matter who was in charge, that's the one bill you came together and you voted for. So now, both chambers, it has become divisive like every other. And it's funny, like I said, I've only been up here 6 years, and I've seen it going from 0 to 1 vote to down party lines. And I'm pretty sure that's what's going to happen this year.
Okay, sounds good. Bill, again, when the session's over, I'd love to have you in the studio. But again, we just want to thank, it's been a great addition to our morning show to have Stephen Meeks on Monday, Blake Tiller on Tuesday, you on Wednesday, to have our local representation on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, informing our listening audience what's taking place up there in the legislature. We deeply appreciate it. I know you people are extremely busy, but we do appreciate y'all taking time out of your morning to call in on the World Famous Butch and Bob Show and giving us the update on what's taking place, especially this week with the session being a mad dash to the finish. It's been a busy week, an historic week, and again, we appreciate your time, and thank you again. Look forward to seeing you in Jessup and Wayne County, and hopefully have you in the studio soon.
Well, thank y'all for doing this. It's a great addition for us, too, so kudos for y'all for the idea, and we will talk to you next Wednesday.
Okay, thanks so much, Bill. And that's Wednesdays with Werkheiser, Bill Werkheiser, state representative up in Atlanta, as they get the mad dash to get the budget passed. So hopefully they'll get it. They got to get it done, and that's the one thing they say.
Yes.
That's the one thing required by the General Assembly to get
they
done.
Have 6 days. It has to be done.
Has to be done. But again, I just want to wish you a happy birthday. Hope you have a great birthday. I mean, MLB decided to give you a birthday present.
Yeah.
Baseball back. July 24th is the date. So we'll try to get the details. I'm sure the Atlanta Braves will have some press releases on where they're going to be and how it's going to work out for them. But
yeah, looking forward to that.
Nice. Looking forward to seeing Ronald Acuna Jr. back on the field. What a star player that guy is for the Braves.
Mm-hmm.
5-tool player, definitely an MVP candidate. The guy's fun to watch, so it'll be fun to watch the Braves. Freddie Freeman in the game. So Braves got a good baseball team. So
yeah, only one thing I don't like about it.
What? Oh, here we go. You going to be Debbie Downer? What are you going to do?
DH in both leagues.
I knew you were
Beer league, softball.
I knew you were going there. They're just trying
No, can't go with that. Sorry. They're going to use that to bring it in for next year and make it permanent.
Well, their push is to have it in both leagues.
Oh, yeah.
And just make it. I like the pitchers going up and batting, personally. Just for the mere fact that if they throw at somebody, the other pitcher can throw back at them. So that's part of the game as well.
Oh, well.
But the good news is they're going to say play ball soon.
Back in a week to report for camp, and then 1
July
month.
24th. So,
all right, looking forward to that.
Good to see baseball back. So,
yes, sir.
Like I said, it'd be fun to have a World Series and playoff action. So, as I said, it'll be fun to see live sporting events. Tired of watching Korean baseball, even though I have been watching some of that. Got to watch some live sports.
Yeah.
So.
All right, that's it then on a Wednesday morning for the world famous Butch and Bob Show, brought to you by Murphy Builder Supply, First Southern Bank, and Damon's Famous Fingers and Wings. Good morning from the Big Dog WIFO at 8:31.
And then along came Walker Jones.